Are you sure you want to do this? Whew, I don't know. Being someone's roommate, it definitely has its pros and its cons. For instance, a pro in having a roommate is that you have someone to share, the financial burden of an apartment with. And this can help you to get ahead or use your money where you need or want it to be. Second, it can be a friendship. You can form an alliance. It could be just great. You have a built-in friend. The third thing I'm thinking is that it could be a protection, a security. You have someone looking out for you, having your back, and you have theirs. These three pros that I just listed can also be cons. You can have a roommate who can become a financial burden to you, which can also lead to living in an environment that is not safe and secure. And also, too, it can also mean you can form an enemy. You don't want that. I've been a roommate for about 4 years. I've had at least 6 roommates in that time period. Let's go on down memory lane and I'll tell you about them. And I would like to share these experiences with you so that you can learn from them. My first roommate was Art. Art was an older gentleman, minded his own business. He was good at taking out the trash and cleaning the toilet, and that's about it. He kept the place, well, the kitchen, very dirty. He would eat, cook, leave everything all over the countertops, the sink, the refrigerator, everything was dirty. And he would leave it for me to clean because I was a woman. I blew up on Art, and I can admit that. I profusely apologize because I could have handled that situation better, but he really pissed me off because he knew I worked a full and a part-time job, plus I was going to school, and I come home and I can't even prepare my food in a clean environment. Well, I let him have it, and things got a little bit better with us, but he ended up leaving, and in came Lorenzo. Lorenzo must have been my favorite. Why? Because he was barely here. He worked, I believe, a full and a part-time job also, and he was with his girlfriend. He was at her crib. And Lorenzo, he was a cool dude. No problem. After him came Rick, the contortionist. Rick was a special type of guy. He too didn't clean up. He was very, very similar to Art. They both were older gentlemen. The most that Rick would do would be go out back and he would get high. And he would always talk about contortion. I don't know what that means, but I guess maybe he left here and became a contortionist. But I did try to handle my situation with Rick a little bit better than I did with Art. I sat down and talked to him and I asked, what are you able to do? And that was very little, taking out the garbage. And he did that every time the garbage became full, which I knew that there was something special going on there. And it might have had weed written all over it. I don't know. But moving right along, the next person that came into my life was Big Joe. I don't know where Big Joe came from, but I hope he crawled back. He may have been one of my worst roommates. And that's sad because he started off really good. He was as quiet as a church mouse. And then in due time, he started bringing all these unsavory characters to the apartment. I don't know where they came from. I seen homeless people. I seen junkies. It was just ridiculous. And then I had to call my boyfriend to come in and regulate some things. And he did. Big Joe left. He was evicted. The next person that I had was a couple. And I'm going to call them Julio and Brandy. Brandy was a racist. So she and I, we didn't get along from jump. Julio was cool, and I mostly dealt with him. They didn't clean up anything. They had parties in their room, getting high, drunk, and they were considerably younger than I. You know, it just wasn't a happy ending, but they ended up just leaving, and thank God for that. God truly loves them, especially Brandy. And currently, I have Glenda. Glenda is great. You know, so far so good. She brought in a lot of efficiency. She's clean. She has a good heart. She's easy to talk to. She's a kind woman. And she and I, we are about in the same age range. So we get along pretty fine. We have things in common. She minds her business. I do mine. And the place, it looks better now than it has ever been. So I'm thankful for that. There's 3 things to keep in mind when you have a roommate or you're living with someone. The first is to always pay your rent on time. The second thing is to have open communication with your roommate. You want to sit down and talk to them about, you know, their schedule, your schedule, things that need to be done around the apartment as far as cleanliness, the housekeeping, you know, and also noise levels, you know, things of that matter. Don't ever sit there and allow things to fester that bother you. Sit down and talk it out, especially if you're an adult. The third thing would be to do your fair share in the apartment. Not only in taking care of your part of the rent, but housekeeping and anything else that is a shared responsibility in the apartment. So with all those things being said, I hope the best for you, and I hope that you learn from my experiences, and that you keep on living, you keep on learning, and keep on learning.